Welcome. So, how do you know that you're alive? My answer to this question is that we feel. We can tell that we are alive because of our experience of life. Experience that is in a form, that comes in a form of feelings. There is this famous quote by René Descartes: I think, therefore I am. And then, when we think, we're mostly here. We are in our heads, in our brains, in our minds that are so esteemed in some parts of the world. However, there's so much more to life than thinking. And what is the thought without the feeling, the heart, the experience of it? And here's a trick. Because my experience, my personal experience, and my experience of working with people individually and during workshops is that we are actually afraid to feel. We don't really know what to do when these feelings come up. Well, starting with this idea that we need to do something. And the trick is that what you resist persists. So the more we resist what we feel, the stronger the wave. So here's the point where I would like to share with you how I hold the difference between emotions and feelings. If you have a prior training in nonviolent communication, you would know that in this approach, these two terms are used like as one, interchangeable. But I hold it slightly differently. For me, emotion is a lived experience of a feeling. And I really like how you can look at the word itself, emotion. Energy in motion. So there may be some sort of tension, there may be some sort of movement, there may be some sort of shakiness. And when we look at it moment by moment by moment, we realize that it changes. While the feeling, I would say, is a kind of a label we put on this lived experience of emotion. So I may be experiencing tightness in my chest and tightness in my throat, and my eyes are kind of throbbing, and I label this as sadness. And then the tightness may relax a bit and be experienced as heaviness, and it may move a little bit down to my belly, and I may notice that my shoulders are going down with it. And I would still call it sadness, but the felt quality of it is different. Why it matters is that when we look at feelings, we may experience the feeling states for hours or days or even months at a time. Well, when we look at our emotional lived experience, it changes moment by moment, as I said already. So how do when I think about emotions, I really enjoy this metaphor of a fire hose, or like a garden hose maybe. So when you think about a garden hose, and you think about this first moment when you turn the tap and the water starts coming through the hose, what happens? My experience of it is that the water often starts sprinkling around, like, right? Especially if we turn the tap intensely, like, when the flow of water is intense. When it's a little bit, it just flows. But when we turn it from 0 to, I don't know, like 70%, the hosts start to go haywire. And what happens then? Well, after a moment, it kind of relaxes, and the flow becomes more steady. And it just flows, 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 until there's no more water or we turn the tap. So what does it have to do with our feelings? Or our emotions, for that matter? Well, the way I see it is that when there is an impulse from the outside world, and we or a nervous system interprets this impulse in a way that it triggers emotion, then it is exactly like the water, the energy of the emotion is moving through our body like water through the garden hose. And what happens when we are afraid of feeling whatever we're feeling? You know, what happens for you when you're afraid? We often get tense, right? So what do we do with this hose? We clench it. Yeah, we tighten it. It's breaking over. Let's stop it. And what happens then? The pressure increases, increases and increases. And, well, in some cases, at some point, boom, it explodes, right? All of a sudden. In some cases, it finds alternative routes where it can go. Maybe not here, maybe there, you know. This pressure needs to be released somehow. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that when we stop resisting whatever we feel, and we learn to feel safe with our emotional flow and relax, you know, kind of open up this hose of our body, the emotions can just flow, move, and make space for new experience and new experience and new experience. And what we can do is we can expand our capacity to experience this emotional flow. So to start with, you may be able to experience the emotional flow when it's just a tiny bit. But when it gets more intense, you get reactive, and then when it gets more intense, you become overwhelmed and your system shuts down. You're not responsive anymore. You're frozen, you're dissociated. And then with time and with practice, you learn both to relax and open up to more of an emotional flow, and you can increase the size of the hose to the point actually that there may be huge intensity moving through you, and you can still be there, be present. I remember this one moment when there was such intense anger energy moving through me. It felt as if a volcano exploded. I could virtually destroy the entire apartment I was sitting in. The energy was so intense. And I remember this really, it was like this window of awareness, whether I should follow the impulse to like smash everything or just sit through it. And I did the sitting. I sat down and I felt this huge intensity moving through my body, leaving it clean and clear. My mind was clear. Everything was calm, but alive, like sparkling almost, you know. And I had total access to my needs, total clarity what I wanted to do about the situation. Because it wasn't about, okay, now it's gone. The situation was still there. But instead of being reactive in this situation, I was able to be responsive, aligned with my needs for myself, but also with a larger context. So now, my theory is this, that we are not afraid of something that happens in the external world. So you're not afraid of your boss, or you're not dreading this meeting, really. But rather, we are afraid of the experience of this particular meeting, of exchange with this particular person. We are afraid to feel. And so we try to avoid feeling, avoid the situation, or we download or discharge emotional qualities on other people around us. And what I'm sharing with you right now is a third way of becoming present and aware of the emotional flow as it moves through your body. Learning to feel safe and expanding your capacity to feel. Because indeed, we have no choice. What is our experience of life? I can tell myself I shouldn't be afraid. I can tell myself I shouldn't be angry. It's not time to cry. However, I feel whatever I feel. It's just that it's a fact somehow. My internal objective fact. This is my experience. But the choice that I have is how I relate to this experience. And finally, I would like to share with you a practice that has been one of the most important practices in my life in learning how to increase my capacity to feel. It's a practice that I learned from Kåre Landfeld, who developed Zen coaching. And the idea of this practice is remarkably simple and yet remarkably powerful. So you start with asking yourself the question that you have asked yourself already several times during this journey with me. So, what's alive now? And the point is to really check in with your body, right? So that you notice any tension, any heaviness, any lightness, any relaxation. So some of us have access to all the subtle experiences of our body. But if you're one of those people who don't feel much, you also can just tune in and check if you feel any difference between your belly and your chest, between your chest and your back, between your hips and your legs, or maybe your head and your legs. You may notice that in some places there is kind of more energy and aliveness, and in some places, like some places you don't feel much at all. It often concerns our legs, our lower body, that we're not really in touch with this. We don't feel our legs, for instance. So again, notice what's alive for you right now, what's happening within you, inside your body. And as you do so, just pick one area that's a little bit more intense, like tense. Maybe there's tightness in your shoulders. A lot of us suffer from tightness in your shoulders, in our shoulders. So you can even put your hands there and check, but honestly check, is it okay to experience it right now? Can you say yes to this experience right now? And what happens now? And I imagine that for some of you, if you found your yes, you may notice that the experience changed. It may be still tense or unpleasant, but probably the quality of it is slightly different. And some of you, well, you don't want to feel it. It's a no. So see, here's the trick. You experience whatever you experience. It's a fact. And you don't want to feel it. It's also fact of your internal life. So there are two facts all at the same time. So can you say yes to both? You feel it and you don't want to feel it. In other words, can you say yes to your no? Can you welcome your resistance to feel it? It's unpleasant, I don't want to feel it. And what happens now? See, that's the heart of this practice. That we experience something, we check if we can say yes to it or not, if we can welcome it or not. And then we check again. What's happening right now? What's happening right now? And this is a way how we, at this very basic level of arousal, when nothing serious, nothing big is happening, we can train our nervous system to feel a little bit more safe with feeling, with experiencing whatever is being experienced. And then when a more intense stimulus comes and a more intense rush of emotional energy comes, you may remember this practice and you may just check with yourself, okay, what's alive? Ooh, this is the shakiness. This is the shakiness, I'm afraid. Can I say yes to this? Yes. Can I say yes to this? Yes. Okay. What's alive now? Yeah. And I can see, I can experience how life moves through me, moment by moment by moment. So this is one of the practices that we will explore during our coming webinar this next Tuesday. It's in a week. And you will have an opportunity both to practice and to ask me any questions that come up for you as you do so. And my recommendation is that you start practicing today, and as of today, that you take a moment to practice this every day. And it's really useful to have a buddy for this practice. So if you have someone you live with, or someone like a friend you can call, and you can set up like 15 minutes to exchange this practice. You can do like, I don't know, 5 minutes each, and then have an exchange around how this was. And remember, there is no goal to this practice. It's not about, oh, okay, I asked this question several times and we're done. Actually, this is a practice that you can explore and experience again and again and again. And you can sit with it like in a meditation for hours at a time. And the point is actually to create more trust and comfort in experiencing different emotional qualities, and also to become more familiar with different emotional qualities. So you can just explore, how do you experience sadness? whatever you call sadness, how does it live with you? How do you experience fear? You know? So you have this thought, okay, I'm afraid. How does it register in your body? How can you tell? This knowledge, this awareness will be very helpful for our continued journey when we'll be actually meeting and creating relationship with these emotions in your life. Enjoy your day.